Dear students, a very good morning. I welcome you all in the second year. So today we are going to start with the important subject in your curriculum, that is pharmacology. And here we are going to start with the first lecture, Introduction to Pharmacology, which is a part of general pharmacology. So stay at your home safe and stay positive. Before going to the pharmacology, just a few brief things about my subject. This is the subject which is a very important part of your second year curriculum, and why it is important that in your day-to-day life you will come across various drugs which are prescribed to the patient. Unless and until you don't know about the drugs, in which diseases they are prescribed, in what doses, for what indications, what are the uses of this drug, you are not able to become a complete physician. Okay, so though this is considered a very volatile and the dry subject, and the student find it difficult to remember the names of the drugs, but believe me, we are there, all the departmental faculties are there to help you, to arouse the interest within you about the subject, but provided you have to take the lead or initiative from your side. Okay, so never think that pharmacology is a difficult or you can say volatile subject. Always try in a such a way that you should find more and more interest in the subject. With this note, first we will see what is the definition of pharmacology. Okay, so pharmacology, it is a science which deals with study of drugs. If we have to unfold you it, so pharmacon means drug and logos means discourse in or study. So pharmacon means drug, logos means study, a study of a drug. So in a simple word, a science which deals with the study of a drugs. It deals with interaction of exogenously administered chemical molecules with living systems. Obviously, a drug is a foreign substance. We are giving the drug from outside, that is called exogenously. Okay, and it will interact with our human body. Some part of his history, Rudolf Buchem, he founded the first institute of pharmacology in 1847 in Germany. And Oswald Schmidberg is considered as a father of pharmacology. Okay. Now we have understood that pharmacology is a study of a drug. Okay. So now we will understand what is drug. Drug is a single active chemical entity present in a medicine that is used for diagnosis, prevention, treatment or cure of a disease. Okay, so it is the entity in the medicine which is useful for diagnosis. So some drugs, they are useful for diagnostic purposes, okay, of a disease. Some drugs are useful for preventive purposes and some drugs are useful for the treatment purposes. But this definition does not include certain important aspects, that drug is always given for the benefit of the patient. Okay, because when we pronounce the term drug, okay, you are seeing in nowadays that drug, it also be taken for the another aspect, that the someone is taking drug like that. So that is a restricted or derogatory sense uses of the term drugs. That's why WHO in the 1966 defined the drug in a such a way: drug is any substance or a product that is used or is intended to be used. Okay, so drug is either a substance or it can be a product. It is used means currently we are using it, or is intended to be used. What is the meaning of this? That drug is still in a development phase. Okay, and it might come into the market, pharmaceutical industries are developing it, and it might come into the market at a later date. It may be in the phases of clinical trial. We will see this, what are the clinical trial. So that's why it is included intended to be used. Okay, in a future we are going to use that substance or product. Next part of definition is to modify or explore the physiological system or pathological states. Okay, so why the word physiological systems is added? Now, drug is not always given for the pathological condition. Suppose if someone is suffering from diabetes or hypertension, then you are giving certain drugs like anti-diabetic agent, anti-hypertensive agents. That is obviously a normal things you can understand. But sometimes drugs are also given to explore the physiological system or modify the physiological system. For example, if some drugs are given to prevent the pregnancy, like oral contraceptive pills. Now a question is that whether you call it as a drug or not. Yes, we are calling it the drug, and that's why this part of physiological system is had been added, because pregnancy is a physiological condition. It is nowhere a pathological condition. Okay, so and suppose a couple don't want a pregnancy at this stage and they want to prevent the pregnancy, that's why they are taking the female is taking the oral contraceptive pills. So that's why oral contraceptive pills, they are also the drug. That's why this is included in the definition. So to modify or explore the physiological system or pathological states for the benefit of recipient. Yes, this word is important. We are giving the drug for the benefit of the recipient. If someone is taking the drug as an addiction, so that part is not included in this definition. Okay, so to just revise this definition once again, drug is any substance or a product that is used or is intended to be used to modify or explore the physiological system or pathological states for the benefit of recipients. Okay, and I mentioned the term drug is being also used to mean addictive or abuse or illicit substances like ganja, heroin, or they can be a drugs. But if someone is taking for the addiction purposes, then that is not included in our intention. So our this, but this restricted and derogatory sense uses is unfortunate degradation of this time-honored term, and drug should refers to the substance that has some health promoting, therapeutic, or diagnostic application. So there are some important definitions which we are going to see. So there are two main branches of pharmacology. One is pharmacodynamics and one is a pharmacokinetics. What is pharmacodynamics? So dynamics means power. What the drug does to the body. Okay. So what is the action of a drug on a body is called as a pharmacodynamics. Okay. So in short, mechanism of action of a drug is pharmacokinetics. While pharmacokinetics, which we will see in the next slide, means what the body does to the drug. So what the drug does to the body is pharmacokinetics. What the body does to the drug is the pharmacokinetics. So in pharmacodynamics, it includes physiological and biochemical effect of a drugs and their mechanism of action at a organ level or at a macromolecular level. So physiological and biochemical effect of a drugs. We will see one example. Take an example of a drug adrenaline, which is a drug from sympathetic system or stimulating the sympathetic systems. All of we know, whenever the adrenaline is given or whenever the sympathetic system is stimulated, there is increase in heart rate and increase in force of contraction, that is cardiac stimulation. So increase in heart rate, what we can see physiologically. But how it is going to happen, what are the biochemical events? So we'll see. Adrenaline, it interacts with adrenoreceptors. Okay, so there are alpha and beta receptor. So on a heart especially, there are the beta 1 receptor. So adrenaline interacts with beta 1 receptor. After that, G proteins mediated stimulation of cell membrane bound adenylyl cyclase. So these beta 1 receptors are coupled with a G protein, which in turn stimulate one enzyme adenylyl cyclase. What this adenylyl cyclase will do, it will cause conversion of ATP into cyclic 3-5-AMP. Okay, so adenosine triphosphate is converted into the adenosine monophosphate, and this cyclic AMP will cause phosphorylation of certain proteins or substrates or enzymes, and then it will cause the cardiac stimulation in heart. While in the liver, it will be responsible for glycogenolysis, that is a breakdown of glycogen into the glucose, and hyperglycemia. So this is the pharmacodynamics. In short, mechanism of action of a drug. Next definition is pharmacokinetics. So kinesis means movement. Now in pharmacodynamics we have seen what the drug does to the body. In pharmacokinetics what the body does to the drug. Okay. Obviously when a drug is taken in the body, that it will undergo certain processes. So movement of the drug in and alteration of drug by the body. So it includes absorption, distribution, binding of a drug to certain proteins, that is called plasma protein binding, and either it can be stored at certain organs, biotransformation, that is a metabolism of a drug, and excretion. Okay, so when first you are giving the drug, suppose by the oral route in a tablet form, then the drug will be absorbed either from the stomach or from intestine mainly. If we are giving the drug by IV route, then it is obviously we are giving directly into the blood, then there is no need of absorption. Then distribution, now this absorbed drug which has entered into the blood, that will be distributed to various organs. Okay, and that preference will depend upon which drugs which are giving. Suppose if we are giving certain drugs which are specially promoted for CNS activity, then it will go into the brain. Certain cardiac drugs will go mainly into the heart. So the drug is distributed to the various organs. Then it will bind to certain plasma proteins also. So certain drug is distributed, certain drug will remain bind to the plasma proteins or to the certain tissue protein. Biotransformation, when the drug action is over, we have to ultimately metabolize the drug. So certain drugs are lipid soluble and we have to make them water soluble in order to get excreted from the body, so that they can be not reabsorbed from the kidney. So mainly a lipid soluble drugs are converted into the water soluble forms through the liver enzymes mainly, and this is called as a metabolism. But nowadays rather than metabolism we are using the term biotransformation. Previously a term metabolism was more popular. And excretion of the drug, and after that the drug is excreted mainly through the kidney, but to a certain extent through the feces, saliva or the sweat also. So these pharmacokinetics include the four processes mainly: ADME. A stands for absorption, D stands for distribution, M stands for metabolism, E stands for excretion. Absorption, distribution, metabolism and excretion. So in short, pharmacokinetics is ADME, what the body does to the drug. Take an example of a drug like paracetamol. As you know, paracetamol is an antipyretic drug. It is given to reduce the fever, okay, or to reduce the temperature whenever it is raised. If we have to see the pharmacokinetics or study the pharmacokinetics of paracetamol, first when we are giving by oral tablet, okay, so it is rapidly and almost completely absorbed orally, okay, attaining the peak blood levels at 30 to 60 minutes. हमें ऑब्वियसली लगता है कि ड्रग देने के बाद कितने देर में उसकी एक्शन आएंगी, कितना डोज देना पड़ेगा, ओके, कितने बार रिपीट करना पड़ेगा, ओके, ऑल दिस इज फार्माकोकाइनेटिक्स. ओके, अ टाइम टू रीच द पीक लेवल, ड्यूरेशन ऑफ एक्शन, व्हाट इज अ डोज, व्हाट इज फ्रीक्वेंसी, दिन में कितने बार देना पड़ेगा, ऑल दिस इज फार्माकोकाइनेटिक्स. So paracetamol attains the peak blood levels within 30 to 60 minutes. एक घंटे में peak level आ जाएगा. 25% bound to the plasma proteins, widely and almost uniformly distributed in the body. So paracetamol entered into the most of the organs of the body. It is not having preferential distribution for any one organ. Extensively metabolized in the liver after distributed and action is over or action is still undergoing. It is metabolized mainly in the liver or biotransformation is carried out into the liver. This metabolism in the liver is carried out by the various pathways. For the paracetamol, it is glucuronide and sulfate conjugation. We are dealing with this all parts in detail in the coming lectures: absorption, distribution, metabolism and excretion. Then it is metabolized into the inactive metabolites and they are excreted in the urine. What is the plasma half-life of paracetamol? That is called T half, is 2 to 3 hours. Means 50% concentration of a drug is reduced in 2 to 3 hours, and clearance is this 5 ml per kg per minute. We will see in the detail in the coming lecture. So in short, you can see कि paracetamol, it is absorbed by oral route, attains the peak level at 60 minutes, metabolized by the liver, excreted by the kidney through the urine. All this is what pharmacokinetics. So pharmacodynamics and pharmacokinetics, these are the two things which we are going to study about every subject, every drug which we are going to covering in the systemic pharmacology. So first we will cover the general pharmacology. So this introduction is a part of general pharmacology, and then we will start with systemic pharmacology. Systemic pharmacology first is the ANS, autonomic nervous system, sympathetic parasympathetic system, then the drugs acting on cardiovascular system, drugs acting on endocrinology system, drugs acting on the, you can say, respiratory system. Then there are the certain antimicrobials or antibiotics, what we commonly call, and certain other drugs which are acting on kidney or muscles. So these all we are going to study. So first make the basic, that is general pharmacology, very clear, because unless and until your general pharmacology terms are clear, you will not understand the systemic pharmacology. So pharmacodynamics means mechanism of action or the effect of a drug on a body, and pharmacokinetics means what the body does to the drug. This include the ADME, that is absorption, distribution, metabolism and excretion. Okay. Next definition is pharmacotherapeutics. Now you will have a knowledge of, suppose a particular physician or consultant have or student have all knowledge of a drugs which are given for the particular disease. But out of the available drugs, which drug to choose, at what doses, okay, depending upon the patient condition, that is the part of pharmacotherapeutics. Suppose if a person is suffering from hypertension, we have almost 15 to 20 classes of drugs, and in each class we have almost 10 drugs. So but we have to select only one depending upon the patient condition, or maximum two. So this choice of a drug is called as a pharmacotherapeutics. So application of pharmacological information together with a knowledge of a disease for its prevention, mitigation or cure. So whatever pharmacological knowledge we have about various drugs, along with knowledge of a disease, when we are applying that in combination, that becomes the pharmacotherapeutic. For example, if hypertension is present in a patient, which is a, you can say, a 30-year-old patient, and he is also suffering from diabetes, so we have to select such a drug which is beneficial for both the condition, or it is given for hypertension but not contraindicated for diabetes. For example, S inhibitor is one of the drug which is preferred if a patient is suffering from hypertension and diabetes. But at the same time, the drugs called beta blockers like atenolol, they are anti-hypertensive. They are given in hypertension but not given in diabetes patient. So we will not give the beta blocker in a patient of hypertension with diabetes. But in a patient of hypertension with diabetes, we can give the S inhibitor. So this is what we are calling, we are applying our knowledge considering the patient condition, and this is nothing but pharmacotherapeutics. Then after you have selected that, yes, S inhibitor, selection of most appropriate drug you have considered. Then what is the dose? 5 milligram, 10 milligram. Enalapril is a drug from S inhibitor. So what dose you will give, and duration of treatment, how long you are going to give the drug in that patient. All this will form the part of pharmacotherapeutics. Okay. So application of pharmacological information together with the knowledge of the disease is called pharmacotherapeutics. Next definition is clinical pharmacology. So in clinical pharmacology means scientific study of a drugs, both old drugs as well as the new drugs which will come into the market in a man. In short, we will call it the clinical trials. Nowadays you are going to listen this clinical trial term very frequently in terms of COVID-19 vaccine. When the vaccine will come into the market, that is a big question in everyone's minds. And what we are going to see, that some vaccine is in phase 2, some vaccine is phase 3. So what is that? So new drug development. So drug development is a process. No, we will not give the drug directly into the human beings. We have to first study the drugs. first in the animals, which is called as a preclinical studies, and then under observation in human beings, which is called clinical trial. And when it is found effective and safe in certain limited number of human beings, for example 3000, 5000 number of a human being, then a license is given from the regulatory authority to market that drug, and only then the drug will come into the market. So this whole process before actually the drug comes into the market, the study of a drugs is called as a clinical pharmacology, and it is a very important domain where the role of pharmacologist is very important. And it is one of the career prospective for the students who opt for the MD pharmacology. So it includes the pharmacodynamic and pharmacokinetic investigation in healthy volunteers as well as in a patient. So before the drug is going to market, we are going to study the drug in healthy volunteers who are not having any disease, as well as in a certain patients in which disease we have to launch the drug, we will study that disease patient. फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर हमें डायबिटीज की दवा लॉन्च करनी है तो पहले जिनको डायबिटीज हुआ है ऐसे पेशेंट्स हम रिक्रूट करेंगे, उनमें हम देखेंगे कि इफेक्ट आ रहा है कि नहीं आ रहा है, सेफ्टी है कि नहीं, ड्रग का कोई टॉक्सिक इफेक्ट तो नहीं है जिसकी वजह से पेशेंट की डेथ या कुछ सीरियस इवेंट हो सकता है. If that is not found, then the drug is launched. So evaluation of efficacy and safety of a drugs and comparative trials with other forms of treatment. अभी ऐसा हो सकता है कि डायबिटीज के लिए ऑलरेडी बहुत सारी दवा है, आप कोई और दवा मार्केट में लॉन्च करना चाहते हैं, तो आपको जो एग्जिस्टिंग ड्रग है उसके साथ आपके ड्रग का कंपैरिजन करना होता है. You have to show that my drug is whether efficacious as compared to the existing drug, safety as compared to the existing drug, and that we have to see in the clinical trials. Then surveillance of patterns of drug use, adverse effects, all this data is generated for optimum use of a drug and the practice of evidence based medicine. Okay, so this is clinical pharmacology. Then coming to the next definition, that is a chemotherapy. Treatment of systemic infection or malignancy. Systemic infections means any kind of infection caused by microorganisms like bacteria, viruses, fungi, protozoa, amoeba, all these infections which are caused by this microorganism, and or malignancy means cancer. So when we are going to treat with specific drugs that have selective toxicity either for that infecting organism, for bacteria or viruses or protozoa, or for that malignant cell with no or minimal effect on host cells. What is the meaning of this? We are giving certain drugs which are going to kill only the infecting organism और मैलिग्नेंट सेल्स, मीन्स वो सिर्फ बैक्टीरिया को किल करेंगे, सिर्फ वायरसेस को किल करेंगे. सो एंटी बैक्टीरियल ड्रग, antiviral drug, antifungal drug, inhibiting, killing or inhibiting the fungi, anti-helminthic drug, anti-amoebic drug, all they are included in chemotherapy. And this is one of the biggest system in the systemic pharmacology which you will which we will learn in the due course. And malignant cell and anti-cancer drugs are also included as a part of chemotherapy. So antimicrobial drugs, drugs which are given for inhibiting the bacterial infection, viral infection, like penicillin, cephalosporins, azithromycin, amoxicillin, these antibiotic you might have heard, all these are included in chemotherapy and anti-cancer drug. Coming to the next definition, that is a pharmacy. Okay, most of the time there is a confusion in the terms pharmacy and pharmacology. Okay, so these are the two separate fields. Pharmacology, obviously you are studying in the MBBS, physiotherapy, and even in the pharmacy. But B pharmacy and D pharmacy, these are the separate branches of pharmacy where the person is trained as a graduate in pharmacy. Okay, so MBBS pharmacology is different, pharmacy is different. What is the pharmacy? It is the art and science of compounding and dispensing the drug. Okay, so a medical shop person who is going to dispense the drug, or compounding in the company, someone is manufacturing that drug by certain processes, or preparing the suitable dosage form for administration of a drugs to man or animals. So preparing the dosage form or dispensing it is the pharmacy, while to develop the new drugs to test in human beings to generate the data for that drugs is the main the pharmacologist will do. So pharmacy will include collection of a drug from any source of the drug, like we will coming see in the coming slides. The drugs can be obtained from plants, animals. So suppose the drug is collected, plant is collected, identification of certain substances in that plant which will be used as a drug, purification, so if there are certain impurities, to remove that impurities, isolation of that particular substance which will be used as a drug, synthesis, standardization, and quality control of medicinal substances. This all include in the pharmacy. When we are going to manufacture the drug at a large scale, for example in pharmaceutical industry, it is called pharmaceutics, okay, which is primarily a technological science. Next definition is toxicology, a study of poisonous effect of a drugs and other chemicals. Okay, so certain drugs can cause the poisoning, and that is studied in the branch called toxicology. Other chemicals like household, environmental, pollutant, industrial, agricultural, and some homicidal, which can be useful for not useful, which can be used as a suicide purpose, which is obviously not a intentional purpose. So with emphasis on detection, prevention, and treatment of poisoning. So certain drugs, if taken in a very excessive dose, it might cause the poisoning. So we have to understand, detect such a poisoning if they are happening, and we have to prevent and treat such a poisoning. So it includes the study of adverse effect of the drug, since the same substance can be a drug or a poison depending upon the dose. So suppose if you are taking the drug in a prescribed manner, what is recommended by the science or pharmacologist, then it is a drug. But if you are taking in it in a exceed fashion or very at a high doses or overdoses, the drug can become the poison, and it can cause the severe adverse effect or may the death of the patient. Okay, so that all is studied in the branch called toxicology. Now coming, we have seen these definitions which are very important. So you have to remember all the definitions, and you have to try to understand the definitions rather than mugging up. So definition of a drug, definition of pharmacodynamics, pharmacokinetics. Now coming to the drug nomenclature. So every person has a name, like that every drug should have a name to understand or give its identity. So there are three categories of names. First is a chemical name. Second is a generic name, which is also called as a non-proprietary name, and third is a brand name or proprietary name. We will see them what is that. So chemical name means simply we describe the substance chemically. You have studied the chemistry in the 11th, 12th and before that also. For example, a propranolol, which is a beta blocker drug. It is useful in the hypertension and certain other diseases. If we have to describe it chemically, we have to describe in a such a way: 1 isopropyl amino, 3 1 naphthaloxy propane to all for propranolol. So obviously this will become a very cumbersome and not suitable for use in the prescribing. So it will just become so difficult for the everyone in the medical field if we have to pronounce the drug by such a name or prescribe the drug for such a name. So this is not useful in the practice. It is for the manufacturing or at a manufacturing level for the synthesis of a drug. Next comes the generic name or non-proprietary name. Non-proprietary means it is not a property of any particular person. So it is the name accepted which is by the competent scientific body or authority. Okay. So non-proprietary names of newer drugs, they are kept uniform by an agreement to use the recommended international non-proprietary name, which in short form it is called as a IRINN, recommended international non-proprietary name, in all member countries of WHO. For example, if a drug called paracetamol is manufactured in America and now it is going to be marketed in all other countries, uh, So we cannot give the another different name for the paracetamol in India or in Brazil or something else, some else country. So we have to keep a uniform name for every drug in all the countries so as to avoid the confusion and to keep the uniformity. Okay, so that's why it is called as a non-proprietary name or generic name. But there are certain exceptions. For example, a pethidine, which is a drug from opioid or morphine category, it has another name called meperidine. So in USA and in UK, there are two different names. Another example is lidocaine and lignocaine. This is a local anesthetic drug. So it has a two generic name, lignocaine or lidocaine. But these are just exception. Mostly the drug have only the one generic name. For example, paracetamol, amoxicillin, penicillin. All these are the generic names or non-proprietary names until the drug is included in pharmacopoeia. What is pharmacopoeia? It is something you can see a standard textbook or standard database where we can find information about all the drugs in a various headings like the doses of a drug, indications, how it is manufactured, what is chemical formula. All this is you can found in the pharmacopoeia. So there are various countries have their various unique pharmacopoeia. For example, we have a Indian pharmacopoeia which is called as a IP. We have a British pharmacopoeia for UK, that is called BP. We have a United States pharmacopoeia which is called USP. So like that. So non-proprietary names, when before their inclusion in pharmacopoeia, is called as a approved name, while after its appearance in official publication or pharmacopoeia, it becomes the official name. And as I told you, the generic name is also used in place of non-proprietary name. So both are the synonymous thing, non-proprietary name or generic name. Third is a proprietary or brand name. Okay, so what is this? So name assigned by the manufacturer and is his property or trademark. Now, suppose a paracetamol has come into the market or it has been brought by one company. So there is usually a term called patent. So the company which develops the drug has a patent of that drug. So for say for 5 years, 10 years, or for the maximum 20 years. So till that time, that company only can manufacture and market the drug. Okay, no other company can manufacture or market the drug before the expiry of the patent by that particular parent company. But after the patent is over, the other company can also manufacture or market the drug, and they can give the name to that drug as they want. Okay, so that is how the proprietary or brand names are there. So for one generic name, there are multiple brand names or multiple proprietary names, as there are multiple manufacturers. For example, a paracetamol, it is come into the brand name of Crocin, you might have heard. It can also come into the brand name called Calpol. It can also come into the brand name called Dolo. So Crocin, Calpol, Dolo, all these are the proprietary or brand names given by different companies. Okay, while paracetamol, it's its generic name. So you will understand generic name and brand name. So brand names are designed to be catchy, short, easy to remember, and they are often suggestive. Suggestive means what? Low pressure. So this is the brand name which is given for the beta blocker. So beta blockers, they are useful for decreasing the blood pressure. So low means decreasing, pressure means blood pressure. So they are antihypertensive which are useful for decreasing the blood pressure. But it is not a case for all the drugs or not for most of the drugs. So brand names generally differ in different countries. Obviously, a same drug, suppose a Dr. Reddy is manufacturing some drug in India as well as in USA, they can give a brand name different in India or brand name different in USA. So that is the valid one or can be accepted, but that is not accepted for generic name. Okay. Timolol maleate eye drops. They are marketed as a Timoptic in USA, but as a Glucomol in India. So different brand names can be given by the same manufacturer in the different countries. Okay. Now a big question, whether to prescribe by the generic name or brand name. It is a continuous debate which is going on every day among the physicians or pharmacologists, that which is better, generic name or brand name. So everyone has some advantages and some disadvantages. We will see why to prescribe by non-proprietary name or generic name. Okay. For example, if you are going to prescribe the drug called as a tablet paracetamol, so if that prescription is taken by the patient in any other country, the person can easily understand, okay, this patient what, or medical pharmacist can easily understand this person what is the paracetamol. Okay, because he is familiar with paracetamol. But suppose if you are writing tablet Dolo 650, means 650 mg of Dolo. Dolo means it's a brand name of paracetamol. Then if the Dolo is marketed only in India, then it might not, he may not understand, the person from different country, if that drug is not marketed in that brand name. Okay. The second, so why to prescribe, this is just one example. So why to prescribe by non-proprietary name? To keep the uniformity of the drug, then convenience for the pharmacist also, and for the everyone, for the patient as well as physician, economy and better comprehension. It is like, when you are prescribing the drug by generic name, the generic drugs, they are more economical, or they are cheaper as compared to the branded drug. And that's why the debate is going on. Pharmacoeconomics, we have to also understand the economic condition of the patient, whether he can afford the drug of such a high cost. If the some drug is having high cost, so we can always give a cheaper alternative, provided it is a equally safe and efficacious to the patient and better comprehension. So drug can be prescribed by the generic name because of these advantages: uniformity, convenience, economy and better comprehension. For example, propranolol, sotalol, timolol, pindolol, metoprolol, acebutolol, atenolol, they are all beta blockers, but their brand names have no such a similarity, so that may create the confusion. And second, non-proprietary or generic products, they are much cheaper than their branded counterparts, partly because the manufacturer invests a lot of money in promoting the brand name. So in branded drug, there is a lot of marketing or advertisement, that's why the drugs are mostly costlier, while in generic drugs it is not a case. So generic drugs are also developed by pharmaceutical industry and the branded also. But the pharmaceutical industry, when it is developing the generic drug, it is not giving any brand name, and it will not having the cost of marketing and the advertising it. So that's why they are the cheaper. Limitation: when a drug is prescribed by the generic name, the chemist is free to dispense the generic product from any manufacturer, but not so when the drug is prescribed by the brand name. Suppose if you have prescribed as a tablet paracetamol, then that chemist can give any other company, but when you are giving the brand name tablet Dolo 650, he has to give that company only. So it is observed that certain physicians have a particular faith or compliance on particular brand for particular drug. So when the another brand is prescribed, they are not much comfortable, because they have on experience from their practice that this brand is particularly effective or safe for my patient. Okay, so this is a limitation by the generic drug. So why the brand name? This I have also answered in the previous slide only. When it is important to ensure the consistency of the product in terms of quality and bioavailability, and especially when the official control over the quality of manufactured products is not rigorous, it is better to prescribe by the dependable brand name. Okay, so suppose I told you that if particular physician has a faith or compliance on a particular brand, because he has observed that that brand is giving the good results, has a good quality and good viability, then he may be prescribed by the dependable brand name. As far as India is concerned, it is advised by the various governments to prescribe by generic name rather than the brand name. Then there are two terms: prescription drug and non-prescription drug. What is the meaning of this? Prescription drug, first we will see as per the drug and cosmetic rules. Now every thing has a law in India. So the drugs are included in the law or act called drug and cosmetic rules, which is framed in the 1945, and there are certain amendments from time to time. So majority of the drugs, including all antibiotics or antimicrobials drug, must be sold in retail only against a prescription issued to a patient by a RMP, that is a registered medical practitioner, and this is a schedule H. So there are various schedules in the Drugs and Cosmetic Act, out of which schedule H, it tells us that the drugs should be sold only when there is a valid prescription from a registered medical practitioner, one who is licensed under the Medical Council of India or under various state you can say medical councils. Okay, and a patient should have that valid prescription having a registration number, signature, and probably the stamp of that RMP, including, and then and only then the pharmacist can give the drug to the patient, and he cannot give the drug only on a verbal demands from the patient. While non-prescription or over-the-counter drug, this is another part. Over-the-counter, you can easily understand that a drug can be given by the pharmacist to the patient even when there is no valid prescription. For example, simple analgesics like paracetamol or aspirin for fever or for certain amount of pain can be given to the patient without any prescription. Antacids for the acidity or for the peptic ulcer diseases, okay, like a tablet like Gelusil, okay, they can be given. Lactulose for the drugs for constipation, certain vitamins product, okay. Nowadays multivitamins, vitamin C, vitamin D, they are very commonly taken by the most of the um, people, you can say. Ferrous salts, they are considered relatively harmless and can be procured without a prescription. So there is no need of a valid prescription to purchase such a drug from the pharmacy or medical shop. Next is a orphan drug. These are the drugs. Orphan means, you know, अनाथ. So ये drug अनाथ होते हैं क्या, कैसे? So what is the meaning of this? The drugs are biological products which are useful for diagnosis, treatment, or prevention of rare disease or a condition. Suppose the disease is very rare, and if you have to include the definition, it is 1 in the 2 lakh people or 1 in 0.2 million, means 1 in the 2 lakh people is affected by that disease. Then at such a time we can call that drug the is a orphan ड्रग एंड दैट डिसीज एज ऑर्फन डिसीज. सो 2 लाख में से किसी एक को डिसीज हो रहा है और उसके लिए कोई ड्रग दिया जाता है, तो दैट ड्रग इज कॉल्ड ऑर्फन ड्रग. डिसीज को बोलते हैं ऑर्फन डिसीज. सो इसका क्या इम्प्लीकेशन है कि और मोर कॉमन डिसीज but it is found only in particular country. So for such a disease or such a drug, there is no reasonable expectation that a cost of developing and marketing it will be recovered from the sales of that drug. Obviously a pharmaceutical industry, when it is producing or developing the drug, they are not doing any they have their own benefits, okay. They want to generate the profit from that development. So if that drug is going to be taken only by one person out of 2 lakh, as that condition is that much rare, then they will not gain that much profit, and the pharmaceutical industry will try to avoid the such a drugs. So as per the Orphan Drug Amendment Act of USA, a rare condition is one that affects less than 0.2 million people. So these drugs may be life saving for some patient, but they are commercially difficult to obtain, as the pharmaceutical industry is not interested to develop that drug because they think that a cost of developing it will not be recovered from the sale. In such a condition, the government in the developed countries offers tax benefits and other incentives to the pharmaceutical company for developing and marketing the orphan drug. So they will give some tax benefit or they will some give incentives, but usually they will offer the incentives to the pharmaceutical company that please develop this drug for the benefit of this type of the patient. So that is included in the orphan drugs. These are the certain list of orphan drug. You can remember at least one or two drugs. Okay. Now the last part of the lecture is the sources of a drug. Okay. So drugs are obtained from the various sources. So there are mainly six sources. Drug can be obtained from plant, animals, microbes, minerals, or they can be prepared synthetically in the laboratory or by the biotechnology. So certain drugs like morphine, it is obtained from the plant called opium plant, or digoxin, which is useful in congestive heart failure, it is obtained from the digitalis lanata plant. Certain drugs they are obtained from animals. For example, thyroxine hormone, adrenaline, they are obtained from the you can say from the animals. Insulin, it is obtained from the pork or beef. Okay, so thyroxine is a hormone. So whenever there is a deficiency of thyroxine hormone in the body or hypothyroidism, we are giving the drug thyroxine from outside or hormone thyroxine from outside, and we are procuring it from the animals. Insulin we are procuring from the beef or the pork, but nowadays we are preparing the insulin from the recombinant DNA technology, that is biotechnology. Okay, so we are very less or not at all using this type of the insulins nowadays, which are obtained from animals, as they may contain some impurities which can give rise to the allergic reactions. Then certain drugs they can be obtained from microbes or microorganisms. You will be very surprised that most of the antibiotics are obtained from fungi or actinomycetes or bacteria. So these are the type of the drugs which are useful to kill the bacteria, to kill the fungi, and they are also obtained from bacteria or fungi. So obtained from the same species in which they are for which they are going to kill or inhibit that. But it is not like that. They are obtained from one bacteria, they may be used to kill another bacteria. Okay, for example, penicillin, it is obtained from actinomyces species, gentamicin, tetracycline, erythromycin, polymyxin. So all these are obtained from microorganisms. Okay, so the source of obtaining the drug in this case is microbes. Certain drugs have sources from minerals. For example, if there is iron deficiency anemia, we are giving the iron from outside. If there is a calcium deficiency, we are giving the calcium from outside. Magnesium, aluminum hydroxide. So these are the minerals which are we are using. And most of the drugs are prepared by synthetic chemistry. So very limited number of drugs from this other category. Most of the drugs which are we are preparing synthetically in the laboratory through various chemical reactions. So either we have a drug called morphine, okay, already, and we are producing the structural or chemical changes in the morphine structure and producing the different drugs. For example, atropine substitute. So we have obtained the atropine from the plant called belladonna plant, Atropa belladonna, and we have developed a variety of drugs, 20 to 30 drugs from atropine by differing in its chemical substitution, either introducing amino group or removing the oxygen, introducing the hydrogen, whatever we can do the various chemical reaction, and we can produce the variety of a drug. So such a drugs are major chunk which are useful in pharmacology, okay, or in the medical field. Last is a biotechnology. This is a field which is booming nowadays, and most of the drugs that can be produced by recombinant DNA technology. So it's a DNA here. So human growth hormone, human insulin, interferon, and monoclonal antibodies, they can be prepared through the process of biotechnology, through the genetic engineering. Okay. Now to end this lecture, but before to this, it is a very common question that for pharmacology, which textbooks we can read. So there are certain recommended textbooks from the, you can say, all of the pharmacologists. One, Essentials of Medical Pharmacology, which is written by KD Tripathi, and currently the 8th edition is going on for the JP is a publication. So you can have this book, or another book which I can recommend is Principles of Pharmacology by HL Sharma and KK Sharma. So this is also a very good book in the pharmacology. Currently it is a 3rd edition. It is given in a very simple and the lucid language by these two authors, HL Sharma and KK Sharma. So you can have either of them or both of them if you are that much reading capacity, you can say. As far as the MCQs are concerned, there are various books, but what I am following is the review of pharmacology by Gobind Rai Garg and Sparsh Gupta. So you can have these textbooks. So to summarize this lecture, a drug, we have seen a pharmacology, it is a science which deals with the study of a drugs. Then we have seen a definition of a drug, that it is a product or substance which is used or intended to be used for the benefit of recipients, and it can modify or explore the physiological system. Then we have seen a pharmacodynamics, what the drug does to the body, that is mechanism of action of a drug. Then we have seen a pharmacokinetics, what the body does to the drug. In that we have seen a ADME, that is absorption, distribution, metabolism and excretion. Then we have seen a drug can be prescribed by the drug have a three names: chemical name, non-proprietary or generic name, and proprietary or brand name. Then we have seen a sources of a drug. So this is all about the introductory lectures. So start reading the pharmacology. If you have any difficulty, we are always there to solve. Okay. So